Out of all the 2020 presidential candidates, Andrew Yang is one of the few individuals that I'm actually genuinely excited about because he's one of the few people who are actually running on a really bold progressive platform. Some of the things he's proposing, they're just incredibly ambitious. He is running unapologetically on universal basic income, which I love. It's basically Social Security for all. He's running on Medicare for all. He's running on free marriage counseling for all. He's running on free financial counseling for all. So he has this incredibly bold platform. However, he does have a real blind spot when it comes to the issue of education. That's not to say that he is bad, but generally speaking, when you look at where he stands on education, it almost seems out of character when you juxtapose his views there with all of his other policy proposals. So if he doesn't support free college, the plan that Bernie Sanders is championing, what does Andrew Yang support? Well, if you go to his website and look at his policy platforms, he supports making community colleges affordable for all. So when you attach for all to a policy proposal, that doesn't just automatically make it good, because this honestly is a plan that is less ambitious than President Obama's proposal. Because if you'll recall, Obama actually wanted to make the first 2 years of college entirely free. Now, there's a reason why this proposal is honestly kind of strange, because community college in the first place, it's meant to be an affordable alternative to getting an education at a university. So you're already trying to take the most affordable option, make it more affordable. Why not just make it free altogether? Why not just go the extra step and make the first 4 years of college, getting your undergraduate degree, entirely free? Because it's what other countries are doing, and to be more competitive on the international job market, you've got to have a college education. Why stop short of free college when you have all these other bold proposals? UBI, Medicare for all. So it doesn't honestly make sense to me. And I was thoroughly disappointed to learn that this was his decision. However, he recently appeared on an episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, and he explained his views, and he explained why he doesn't agree with this idea that we should make college free. This is what he had to say about it.
So our education system has a lot to be desired. And one of the things I'm saying is it's making all these kids think that college is the end all be all, and it is not.
Yeah.
And so that's one issue, is that we need to try and prepare kids for different kinds of paths instead of saying college, college, college.
Yeah.
Because they're going to college, they're getting loaded up with record levels of debt. College has gotten 2.5 times more expensive, even though it has not gotten 2.5 times better. And the reason why it's gotten so expensive is because they've just gotten really bloated administratively. Now, you said before Bernie's like free college for everyone. The problem with that solution is it pretends that college solves the employment problems of young people.
Right.
And anyone who's coming out of college knows that that's not real. The underemployment rate for recent college graduates today is 44%. So you had like a 50-50 shot if you come out of college, you're doing a job that doesn't really require a degree. And 94% of new jobs created right now are gig, temporary, or contractor jobs that don't have real paths forward or healthcare benefits or the rest of it. But one of the things I've discovered is that we're overemphasizing college, and what we're underemphasizing is technical, vocational, and apprenticeship work. Because a lot of that work, believe it or not, it's actually really hard to automate. Like, we're not going to automate an air conditioning repair person or a plumber anytime soon.
So when I hear him talk there, I don't necessarily think that he's wrong, even though he does get a couple of details wrong. He's not necessarily wrong, but the way he talks about college demonstrates that he just has a different worldview than myself and probably a lot of progressives. Because if you truly look at college as just this instrumentally valuable thing that gets you a job, it's just means to an end, getting a job. You go through college just to get a job. If you just conceptualize college and its utility in that way, what he's saying makes sense. What he's saying about, doing more vocational training, that would help you get a job, that makes sense. But what he's underemphasizing here is the intrinsic value in college. College in and of itself is valuable. Because, quite frankly, we want people to get educated because we want them to be more smart. We want an educated populace. So just attending college in and of itself, even if you're not able to get a job in the field that you studied in, the fact that you went through college is beneficial to you as an individual. Look, I'm the first person in my family to go to college and complete college. And the extent that it helped me grow just as a person and learn a lot about myself, it really can't be understated. I think that I wouldn't be the person I am had I not attended college. So college in and of itself is incredibly important. And to say that college shouldn't be free, well, in a way, you're saying, I don't really think it's that valuable to people who just want to go for the sake of getting an education, even if it won't necessarily help them get a job. And I think that that is fundamentally unacceptable, and it's not a very progressive position because we want people to be able to have the choice to go to college. And just currently, really, college is becoming a privilege. If you're rich, you'll have no problem going to college. If you're poor, well, then you can theoretically go to college, but good luck because you're going to be, burdened with debt basically for the rest of your life. So I have a different worldview than him. If you disagree with me and agree with him, that's fine. It's just there's a fundamental disagreement there. And it really was disappointing to hear him say that, and I get why he's saying it. He comes from the business world, so his view is going to be heavily influenced from that perspective. But for me, as someone who comes from academia, who is getting my PhD, I think that a college education in and of itself is important. Now, ideally, would we want people to be able to get jobs if they go to college? Of course, but you can't just ignore the value that education has and what it can do to improve someone's life and help them grow as a person. Now, additionally, he does get one detail wrong. He says, quote, "The reason why college has gotten so expensive is because it's gotten really bloated administratively." Now, this is actually kind of a right-wing way to view college because college hasn't gotten expensive specifically due to administrative bloat. I mean, you could say that that's part of the problem, but the primary reason why college is so expensive is because we're seeing education cuts, decreases in spending both at the federal and the state level. Because think of it this way, when college becomes more expensive due to cuts to education, what do schools have to do to accommodate that? They have to pass the cost of education onto students. The burden gets shifted from the state to the students, which is why we are seeing all of these tuition hikes. That's basically why college is becoming expensive. It's an oversimplification, but it's the main issue. Does it explain college expenses rising rapidly more so than administrative bloat? Yeah. In fact, to say that, it really makes me worry that he doesn't fully understand education and the history of education in the United States, because look at the cost of education back in, let's just say, the 60s, for example. You can put yourself through college by working at Taco Bell and come away paying off your debt within like a year or so, and you'd be good. But nowadays, you're basically burdened with debt for the rest of your life. So to say that the cost is increasing due to administrative bloat, that's incorrect. It's the biggest oversimplification. There's a lot of factors that go to the rising costs of colleges, but the main one, the crux of the issue here, is a lack of money that is going towards education, that is being cut off at the federal level and the state level. Now he gets into student debt. So what is his plan for people who attended college and now have student debt? I was incredibly disappointed here as well.
So the first thing you do is you go to the people that are currently in debt and say, look, we're going to give you a path out. And there are ways to do it. You can have a payment plan. One of the things I'm proposing is like a 10 by 10, where if you commit 10% of your wages for 10 years, then you're debt free. And that means like if you're not making a lot of money, then you can save a whole lot. And the schools at this point have long since forgotten about these loans because they got paid off already. This is just these financial companies that are holding the loans.
That's important for people to understand because people think, well, if you don't pay them, then the colleges are going to go away.
No. So if you're the government, you can be like, hey, loan company, guess what? Like, good news, we're going to like take this off. And it's a stimulus. Because like you said, we've done a lot of things that were supposed to be a stimulus, like give $4 trillion to the banks and be like, that'll stimulate the economy. Nothing's going to stimulate the economy better than getting student loans off the backs of freaking young people, because
Yes.
they'll actually do what they're supposed to do, which is like actually, spend money in the economy,
Take chances.
take chances,
Yeah.
start businesses, and the rest of it. I mean, one of the reasons why our business formation rates are at multi-decade lows is that we are up to $1.5 trillion in school debt. Anyone who thinks that that's not burdening the economy, I mean, you just gotta. So President Yang will be like, "Hey guys, it's a stimulus, but this time it's a stimulus of people. We're gonna forgive some of the student loan debt because half that stuff was generated immorally anyway. A lot of it was just schools, lying about just to get people in the door. The second thing you do is you go to the schools and say, hey guys, why are you 2.5 times more expensive than you used to be? That's kind of weird because as far as I can tell, there's been no massive quality change. And the reason is that they've hired a lot of administrators. It has not gone to faculty. It has not gone to facilities. It has gone to just administrative excess and bloat. And then say, okay, you can do whatever you want, but if you want access to federal loans, which they all rely upon for their life's blood, like without it, they die. If you want your students to have access to federal loans, you have to bring your administrator to student ratio in line with what it was like in the 1990s. And then the schools would scream bloody murder. They'd be like, I can't do that. That's impossible. And you'd be like, well, I have a feeling you're going to figure it out. That they would start bringing it down, and you would realize it doesn't impact the student experience at all.
So why not just cancel that debt altogether? It's an uncharacteristically disappointing aspect of his platform because, again, if you have all these bold proposals like universal basic income and Medicare for all, why stop short of free college for everyone and completely canceling student loan debt? Why? And to say that, that's disappointing because he doesn't support student loan debt cancellation, that doesn't even state the beginning of the issues I have, because when he talks about his plan, it is thoroughly disappointing. His plan for students with loan debt is one of the things I'm proposing, quote, I'm proposing a 10 by 10 where if you commit 10% of your wages for 10 years, then you're debt free. This is literally the same policy that Hillary Clinton was proposing for debt relief. The only difference was that she would forgive your debt after 20 years and Andrew Yang is proposing debt forgiveness after 10 years if you pay 10% of your income every single month. This isn't bold, this isn't ambitious, this is the same thing that the Democratic Party is proposing. That's not going to solve the issue. You're not addressing the crux of the cause of the student loan crisis here. You're just taking the edge off. Now, he also says the second thing you do here is you go to schools and you say, hey guys, why are you 2.5 times more expensive than you used to be? That's kind of weird. And if you were to hypothetically do this, Andrew, they're going to say, well, President Yang, the reason why we're actually 12 times more expensive is because government is no longer investing in education. And to offset that, we have no choice but to pass that cost off to students. So overall, Andrew Yang, when you watch this, you can't not come away thinking that he's incredibly intelligent and for the most part, he knows what he's talking about. But when it comes to college, addressing the student loan debt crisis and his free college plan, it's thoroughly disappointing because he just thinks, look, if you go to college, that doesn't necessarily guarantee you a job. And he's correct about that. But still, he's essentially choosing for you, well, because I don't think there's any value in education or there's a minimal value in education, well, I'm not going to subsidize it. We're going to subsidize what I want to. So it's essentially taking away the choice from people who aren't able to attend college. And either wittingly or unwittingly, he is viewing education as something that is for the privileged. If you're rich, you can go to college and come away with no debt. But if you're poor, then you can't get an education. And under my administration, I wouldn't necessarily make that easier for you. If you want vocational training, then that's fine. We'll subsidize that. We'll make that easier for you. But if you want an actual college degree, a bachelor's, then I just don't think we should be subsidizing that type of education because instead we should be subsidizing trade schools and training programs for people to get very particular skill sets that they need for very specific jobs. And I think that him saying this, it really demonstrates that he has this particular worldview where he doesn't view education as anything other than a utility to get a job. He has this worldview where Education in and of itself, it's not necessarily intrinsically valuable, rather, it's instrumentally valuable. It just is going to be a means to an end for you. It's going to be something that gets you a job, and that's it. And if it no longer has that instrumental value, if it's no longer getting you a job, then it's no longer valuable altogether. Now, of course, he's not saying that, but functionally speaking, that's the position that he's taking. So, incredibly disappointed here. It's why Andrew Yang is basically number 4 or 5 in my presidential rankings. It's because, to me, education is one of the most important issues. And regardless if you think it's valuable or not, if you think it's intrinsically valuable or only instrumentally valuable, the point is that we should allow American citizens to make that choice. And government should invest in education so they can actually make that case, or make that choice for themselves, rather.
You could support the Humanist Report at patreon.com/Humanist Report. But trust me, I'd have way more supporters on Patreon if that was my podcast. Sad.